hello, or hey, hey, what's up? It's Jim, and this is Movie Crap Live. Thank you all very much for being here tonight. Is the mic? Let's move the mic. My mic is I need a lot of new things, but we're here. It's Saturday. I'm going to send out the tweet while I'm waiting to hear my own voice, just because it makes me feel good that I know people are hearing me talk. Makes me feel good. Oh, there I am. There I am. So, I guess you know the delay. All right, the tweet is out. Not that you need to know that, but I tell you because we like that. You know, we're friends. However, in Ransom Film, Courtney, Nathaniel Fogel, Kit the Musical, Not Plausible, Paige Howard, Ace the Windwriter, Bruce Parker, Part-Time Memer, Kit the Mystical, Bloxy Oxen Winkle. This is the show for you, I can tell you that. Austin, Ryan, the great Ryan Walterson, who helped me a lot. Who helps me a lot all the time, and I'll shut up about it now so I don't embarrass him. Cornbread, Cashew the Musical, Major Mechazawa. Here we fucking go. I am going to talk about Close Enough. Eric, you can stop mentioning it until I do, please. Thank you. Anyway, here I am. Hello. Welcome. Putting my cards there. Welcome to Movie Crap Live. This is my movie news streaming show where I talk about movie stuff that I want to talk about sometimes. I don't know. Anyway, it is great to have you all here. But before we get to that, someone made a video who helped me out with this stream, actually, called CineRam. Whoa, CineRam helped me come up with the Netflix recommendations. He's going to be the video in the segment that'll come out tomorrow night, but I will just read off his. However, he told me a story that I was unaware of until just now, so I am going to fucking talk about it, because let's right this wrong. He told a sad story about how he works at a hotel. I believe it's a hotel, motel, wherever. He works there, and he wanted to get the night off on a Saturday to watch this show on his birthday. He couldn't, and then he heard me say happy birthday to someone else. That doesn't suck for the person I said happy birthday to. That's cool for them. But for CineRam, that sucks. So what we're all going to do in the chat, if you could, let's all say a very happy birthday to CineRam. He's a great guy. That sucks, and I'm very sorry you had to go through that, CineRam. You're wonderful. I love you. And very happy fucking birthday. All right, I wanted to write that wrong. It might not be his birthday today. It doesn't matter. Happy birthday to you, CineRam. Ransom Film says, you're the best, my fave movie reviewer on YouTube. Thank you very much. And thank you for the super chat. Cheers to you, Ransom Film. First one. And yes, I don't have sugar-free. The store didn't have sugar-free. It's getting hard. I don't want to say that, but yeah. Is this sounding okay? I hope it's sounding okay. It looks like it's sounding okay. Yes, it is. I'm loving all the happy birthday. Anyway, cheers to you, Ransom Film. I'm loving all this chat love. Anyway, thank you all very much for doing that. I just felt like I watched that video on his channel and I went, you know what? Fuck it. I can write that wrong. So we did it. Awesome. All right. So before I get into, well, I'll do the things at the show and then I'll have a little thing. I don't know. Anyway, first off, join the Discord server. I think there might be a few questions in the Ask Jim channel, but if you ever want to ask me a question and you can't come to the live stream, like CineRam couldn't that one time, or you think of it later in the middle of the day or want to ask me something not during the live stream. Oh, hold on. We have 2 super chats. Ryan Walterson say, hey, it's the Jim Gisriel Movie Crap live stream. I'm Jim. Who are you people? That's funny. What was your favorite cat and cats? Oh, man, these are coming in fast. Hold on. Ryan Walterson, cheers to you. Thank you very much. I'm Jim. Who are you people? There you go. Cheers to you. Discount. What was your favorite cat and cats? Either Rum Tum Tugger, the train cat, or the main girl cat, whatever her name was. I don't know. And we have a super chat from CineRam. We have to talk about that. I said, Jim, just read your comment on my video. Thanks for repeatedly encouraging people to give me a shot. They should. You have good. I will talk more about him during the Netflix recommendation thing later. But you should check out CineRam, and I'm very happy to have righted that wrong. And thank you so much for the super chat, CineRam. I very much appreciate all of your support. And he's been supporting me for a long. He's been a very nice guy to me, and whenever, if we can ever be in the same city again together, we should chill. That would be cool. Anyway, cheers to you, CineRam. Okay, where are we? Oh, hold on. I've waited so long for this night from Black Saxonal. Cheers to you. And Zane Powers, I'm adding to the chaos. Thank you, Zane Powers. In a good way. In a good way. All right. Did I get everyone? See, now I got to check because I don't want to. Hold on. I got an Austin. I didn't miss that. Tomorrow is so far away. Let's skate. Cheers to you, Austin. Okay. All right. Hold on. This is just becoming a live stream of me drinking Red Bull. But how is that any different than the show? Anyway, thank you all very much. So what did I want to say? Thank you, M Blood T, for 10 super chat. Anyway, so oh, hold on. Nerdsification said rough day at work and I'm back tomorrow, but I'm always happy to support your channel. Hope everyone has a good night. Thank you very much, Nerdification. That's very nice of you. Cheers to you, sir. Or if you're not, I don't know, but thank you. I screwed that up. I'm gonna walk away. All right. So, please join the Discord. It's really great if you want to let me know about a particular story in advance, so I can talk about it on the show. And you're like, I want Jim to talk about it. There's a channel for that. In general, it's a lot of great discussion. If you like the comments and the chat that go on with my videos, it is the perfect kind of community for you. Please go there. The mods do an amazing job, and I love it there. Singing Jim of the YouTube, friend to you and me. I think I did that right. Anyway. That was our super chat for Ryan. Cheers to you. I feel like people are just like, what will Jim do? But also, and I'm sure everyone who's here knows this, but if you would like to support the show, please do. I very much appreciate it. You can either do so with super chats during the live stream of the show or my Patreon, which is linked in the description of all my videos and this live stream. So if you can't make it to it and would like to support all of my videos, which are pretty much supported by you, the fans, and I very much thank you for your support, especially during this time, as long as you are financially able to do so. But as well as watching or liking or sharing or anything like that is very much appreciated, and I thank you very much for all of your support if you're able to do that. And Zane Power says, make sure you get my Patreon question at the end. It's in there. Don't worry. It is in there. Cheers to you, Zane Powers. All right. Yeah, this was a cool week. If you saw my Instagram, I don't know if you follow me on Instagram. I'm not necessarily promoting that with this story, but you can, I guess. But Friday was a big day because Sophie and I had this whole plan. We're going to watch Scoob after I clock out. I know it was George. I didn't sing it right. I figured it out midway. Sorry, Ryan. It was going to be a big day. We're going to watch Scoob and we're going to go get ice cream. And she decided I'm going to get ice cream in a cone, and she talked about it all day. It was like, I want to do this. Like when she woke up, she was like, I have a secret. I've never had ice cream in a cone. I was like, all right, Sophie, we're doing this, which is hard to do. I had to come up with the logistics of this because we're in a COVID situation. So I literally we go to this place, Ice Pops, which is right near where we live, and they're a local place and they're really wonderful. And I usually buy a ton of stuff from them to support them because shops really need support right now, like dear God. And so we went and we got Ice Pops and we got a cone and stuff, and she got a sorrel, which is an interesting flavor. They're kind of a natural thing. They didn't have chocolate, which I was a little worried when we walked up and I realized that. But she got it. She got her ice cream in a cone. She watched Scoob, which she really liked. I've heard kids, and not to... I will say this about the animation community, is we skew kind of old for most of the people who like animation, and kids I've heard like it, and she liked it. She really liked it. She wants to watch it again, but she loved it, and we had a great time, and I'm trying to, maybe we're going to watch more movies together, but that was a lot of fun. Having my daughter's first ice cream cone and watching Scoob, that's a good memory, even though it was in quarantine, but it was fun watching it. And she got the ice cream cone thing real quick. I was wondering, like, does she understand the eating the thing? And she got it. Anyway, I just like to tell a nice personal story to start things off. I know that's not what you come here for, but like, whatever, I don't know. But yeah. All right, so let's get to the script. Sorry, I like to start off a little. I'm sure people are like, didn't I come here for movie things? Anyway, thank you everyone for being here, by the way. I gotta say, this is a highlight every week. It's like, it used to be the end of my week because I'd work Saturdays, but now it still feels like a weird end of my week. Anyway, all right, so Genndy's Popeye. Now we're getting to the story. See, Genndy's Popeye was finally announced to happen, which is crazy because I'd even done a video on the story how it didn't happen before. That story's not inaccurate because that version didn't happen. But Genndy's Popeye is now happening with King Features, who of course own the rights to Popeye. The there's no news on, like, they're not a distributor or really a studio. They used to be a bigger deal when it came to things like like syndication of newspaper comics and newspaper comic strips and everything like that. But they're still sort of a big company, and they could do something with it. Now, someone on Twitter DM'd me about this, and they brought up an interesting theory, and I want to talk about this. I don't know if I can say his name, and I'm going to put it in the chat to give him credit because I'm going to screw it up. And hold on, let me put his name in here because he deserves it, because he helped me come up with, that's his name. But he brought up to me that King Features is behind the what's it called? The Cuphead, the Cuphead movie that's going on at Netflix. So he kind of insinuated that, he brought to my attention that a lot of people have insinuated that this could wind up at Netflix. Now, at first I was like, I mean, everybody says this about everything, whatever. I was kind of like slagged it off a little. In my mind, I think I was nice to him because I try to be nice, but he brings up that when he brought that up, I really started to think about how hard Netflix has gone after animation and who is like the greatest animation director currently, who's just been good quality wise for as long as Genndy has. Genndy, I should wait 10 seconds. You're right, St. Paris. Genndy would be a crown jewel if they got Genndy to bring Popeye to Netflix. Netflix seems to be a good place for ambitious animated properties, and I have to say, I think that would really work with it, and I think it makes a lot of sense. There's been no official thing on that at all. This is just a theory, but it's a good one. It's a good theory. I really think so. So I think we'll see what happens with this. The fact that it's with King Features and not with Sony, a lot of people said he probably has to throw out all the Sony stuff, but you can probably adapt that in a way that Sony's not going to sue them. Or maybe because he is kind of in-house at Sony and they are developing things with him, to our knowledge still, that they might have just let him have this, or that relationship that always was very tenuous and not a great one is over, and he's moving on to other projects. To be quite honest, I don't think he should be at Sony until he gets an original movie made, because it seems like between Primal and this news, he's getting better work elsewhere, and I hope he does that. So, another thing let's bring up is there was a new Looney Tunes HBO Max short that came out this week. I noticed a lot less fanfare about it, but I'm going to say it's the better of the two, which was Wet Cement. It stars Daffy Duck and and Porky Pig, and it's literally just them messing with each other as Porky Pig lays down wet cement and Daffy Duck keeps stepping in and things like that. This is a great short. It comes out of like silent comedy, kind of comedy in this, which is, by the way, where all the Looney Tunes stuff comes from. Buster Keaton, Charlie Chaplin, all that stuff. So it is exactly what I want from a Looney Tunes. This showed me that these Looney Tunes on HBO Max will be genuinely great, and I really liked this short. It was wonderful. I think they did a wonderful job with this, and it reminds me of like Laurel and Hardy. It reminds me of, it's just wonderful, and it's like funny, and it's just a single shot of him messing with wet cement. It gets weird, it gets strange, it doesn't make any sense, but I love it, and I think that is something to check out. Since I've been talking for a little bit, I am going to put this in the chat, so if you're watching this later, just watch the chat at this time and go check that shit out, or save it for later. Yeah, there we go. It's really good. So I usually do segments later, but I thought, we're kind of having fun, and I kind of like to have a funny thing at the beginning, have a little more fun before I get into, hey, I wasn't as into Wabbit, but maybe I should revisit it. I don't know. But I wanted to bring up, do kind of a thing on the thing that I guess we were talking a lot about last time. And I did watch a lot of in the past week, and that's Kevin James's YouTube channel. And that's what I'm going to talk about right now. So I have checked out his YouTube channel. I checked it out a lot, and I've watched all the videos there. And yeah, so here's the thing about Kevin James, is I've never really known much about Kevin James. I never watched King of Queens really, like a couple times. I think the most movies I've seen with him are the ones like Pixels and the Hotel Transylvania ones. I don't know much about this guy, but to me he's like super mainstream kind of dude. I know with the Becky trailer, which I have watched, actually, it's like a crazy, he plays a neo-Nazi trying to get a key from this girl, and like Joel McHale's the dad in it, and he's gonna like torture all these people, and he's a really violent bad guy. Like, that's really bizarre to me, that whole why he's in that. And it's like made by Redbox, because Redbox makes original programming, which I've known for a little bit, but there's nothing. Anyway, I'm kind of curious about the Becky trailer. Blaxioxwinkle asks, is Kevin James a better YouTuber than Will Smith? I was going to get to that, but yes, he is. Cheers to you, Blaxioxwinkle. He was president in Pixels, Jordan Salafalo. I forgot about that. Anyway. But yeah, the Becky trailer actually looks cool. It looks like the kind of dumb action movie that I would actually want to see. So I forget the date on it. If people can remind me, I'm sure someone in the chat is going to do that. But I'm kind of interested in that one. However, my opinion on Kevin James is this. My opinion on Kevin James has really changed since watching his YouTube channel, because although I think he has less subscribers than Pan, which is interesting, and well, Saber also, it's interesting that, so he's kind of this mainstream guy, and suddenly he's making these YouTube videos, and they're mainly made by these guys, the Kawabi brothers, who are always listed at the bottom of each of these, and I'm not sure how much creative involvement they have, but they're always like sort of surreal, very simple, and have a level of sadness to them that I wasn't expecting. They're kind of like very small, like little indie comedy skits, which you'd think someone like Kevin James, who I'm assuming has more money than me, could afford to do more, but he doesn't. And these are very quick, and maybe, cost-wise he doesn't want to make them too expensive, and I get that. But it's interesting what he does with them, because he's not trying to like flash you with it. He's really trying to do kind of a interesting, kind of weird thing with it. Like, there's often times where I notice a kind of sadness in his own masculinity, where he brings up how there's this one called Misread Waves, which I actually think is maybe his best one, and it's like he's gonna say hi, sees someone say hi, and he's gonna say hi, and then like he realizes they're saying hi to someone else, and he has like basically a existential crisis over this. I'm not joking. And he like goes through, like, he's in his house like basically like emotionally like kind of like falling apart, basically. Like, he like can't believe what's happening because of this, and it's like a crazy short. That's the one I have to say it's kind of interesting. And I guess because Kevin James like doesn't feel like he'd be someone who'd make like kind of interesting, weirder kind of YouTube content, but he really actually does. And I know most people like him for the Sound Guy series, which I think is still funny. But I kind of prefer his other stuff. Like, there's one, Red Light, which was just him waiting at a red light, and he made a short film out of that somehow, which had all this tension and all this stuff. Like, Kevin James, I gotta say, I subscribed. I'm into his YouTube channel, and I think he's way more of an auteur than we ever gave him credit for, because I want an indie movie. I want a movie from him like this. Like, this was cool. It was like Kevin James's Mumblecore or something, and I'm sort of not joking how much I got into it, because it's like partly you want to laugh at like, haha, dumb celebrity, you think you can make a YouTube channel, but I've very few seen people who have like kind of an aesthetic and ideas behind it, and clearly like a style. Like, he has an auteur style. Like, constantly, there's several times in his different skits where he brings up someone he was gonna say hi to, didn't hear him or misheard him, and how like that like broke him as a person. And since he keeps using it over and over again, it makes you think like how much that this actually means to him, you know, as a creator. Like that really upsets him, kind of missing that connection with people. And he has one about a time travel. He goes through that. He has a lot of good skits, and I really got to give him credit because I didn't think, I really didn't expect that from him. So Tannerland says President Kevin James would have taken care of the COVID situation by now. Fuck yeah, you're right about that. Cheers to you. Anyway, what I've learned from the things I watched from him, and Out of Touch, which people were going to get me to watch last week, was mainly like a COVID joke, but it was all right. The Universe app, I kind of like the idea that he could basically like come with the universe and reach ultimate enlightenment, and the punchline on that is really great. I have a lot more respect for Kevin James after watching his YouTube channel, and I definitely say check it out because you'll be interested in it. I really think he should make a movie with the people who are making his YouTube channel, because I think it would surprise people. I don't think it's like going to change the world. I don't think it's the greatest comedy YouTube channel ever, but I think it would change your mind on Kevin James. I'm going to say that right now. Anyway, Bloxy Axelwinkle, there you go. Okay. You got me to do that. I don't know. Anyway, sorry I did a segment early. I hope that wasn't too weird. I think I got a little too real in that. All right. So Quibi, before I talk about all the release date things, Quibi is falling apart, as we've all known for a while. Quibi, this week there was an interview with Jeffrey Katzenberg with the New York Times where he said the main thing that destroyed Quibi was the pandemic of COVID, and if people were still waiting in line for things or going on subways, they would totally watch Quibi because Wi-Fi is really great on all public transportation, and that was definitely not a hurdle, although you can download them later. So, but anyway, Cashews the Musical says an unironic Kevin James take here. Classy, Jim. Thank you, Cashews the Musical. Thank you. Oh, he was in Monster House as a cop? I forget. I watched Monster House a while ago, although I enjoyed it. But he says that basically without COVID, they expected to make like $200 million their first year. All these things. Here's the thing about Quibi is I think ultimately it is not working. It seems, I really think with Quibi, and I watched the thing that most people consider the best thing they made. I really watched it this week. It's called Run This Town. It's about a mayor in a small town in Massachusetts. And he was very young. He's like the youngest mayor they ever had. And he went down for scandals and all these things. I found that one to be pretty cool. But it was very short. And I wish it had just been like an actual documentary. Because cutting it up the way they did for Quibi, like watching a couple, I didn't feel that way. But I kind of marathon them. And the thing with Quibi is you have to like sit down and watch them. And I've noticed the best Quibis for me is like when I watch the news while I'm cooking or cleaning or something, or like Run This Town, which I could do while I was doing those things. I didn't have to necessarily watch. And the ones I have to sit down and watch, I like haven't watched as many because it's like I can't watch on my computer. I can't watch on my TV. I have to watch on my phone. But I will say, and I still like the news on Quibi. I still like the Rotten Tomatoes show with Andre Meadows, which I do recommend. The news stuff is great, and I wish they seem, even in these articles, no one seems to mention it, which I sort of, and I watched like celebrity stories on there, that was alright, but like basically like Quibi needs to make content that you can do other things while it's on, and it's sort of not, do other things while it's on. It kind of, the video doesn't necessarily matter, but I will say this about Quibi is that it did put out Reno 911 came out this week, and that is actually really good. That is great. I would say check out Reno 911 on Quibi. That is really good. Oh, Off to Work. Nice, CineRam. CineRam said Off to Work. Watch out for that tree. Good luck at work, CineRam. Stay safe and stay healthy. Cheers to you. But no, Reno 911 is great. I wanna actually review that and Where the Streetlights End. Because I started that and didn't finish it. I kind of want to get those done, and I'm probably just going to like cut it out. But a lot of people say Dummy's good, so maybe I'll check out Dummy as well, and then kind of end the whole thing. The problem with Quibi, really, and they need to, and I've talked about this in my review of them, is they have no content for multiple demographics. It's mainly for like 20-year-olds to 40-year-olds, and that's it. Which YouTube and all these other content places, they might not be what they advertise primarily, but they do have other content for other people. And, oh, hey, here we go. Hey, King. Thank you, Saber. Hope you and the family are well. Question for you. Which directors do you think are overhyped and overrated? That's an interesting one. And thank you very much for your generosity, Saber Sparks. That's very nice of you. And Bloxy, before I get to Saber, you are right. They should have... Actually, after watching Kevin James' YouTube channel, they should have hired Kevin James. I feel like this is a dangerous road. You pushed me down, Saber Sparks. Okay. People aren't gonna like this. I would say Paul Greengrass. I feel that Paul Greengrass is definitely overrated. I'm not a big Bourne person, to be honest with you, even though I made that video recently for Spicegate. But I'm just not, I think they're fine, but I just don't think Paul Greengrass is a great director. I don't really love Chris Nolan as much as many people, and yeah, I've seen them all. I've seen most of them in the theaters. I've seen most of them in IMAX. Not the biggest fan of Nolan. I think he's really not as imaginative as he comes off. He's a little too cold and not in a Kubrick way that's interesting. But I still see them all. I enjoyed quite a few of them, and I like Dunkirk quite a lot. But I do kind of feel like he's overrated. I think people who like David Lynch get a little too obsessed with him, so I throw that in there. And I'm not going to say Tarantino. I like Tarantino. I think Guy Ritchie probably. Because, look at what that career has wrought. It's like, I like some of the early stuff, but I wasn't as into it as most people. And then when I've seen what that career's become, I'm like, I don't know. I don't know if I never get as into him. I'm trying to think if there's anyone else. Favreau, I would say, because as much as I like the first Iron Man, Chef, Swingers, The Mandalorian, everything else sort of sucks. Like Iron Man 2, Cowboys and Aliens, Jungle Book, Lion King, those are some fucking bad movies. And I love Jon Favreau. I like Dinner for Five is a great show, but I honestly do think, even though he's done a lot of really great stuff and it's changed cinema, it really has. Look at Iron Man. Iron Man really, started the MCU, and because that movie was so good, really started that. But I like James Cameron, so anyway, I think a lot of people just left, so thank you, Saber. Oh, I do like Elf. I'm sorry, Nathaniel Folga. You were right. Elf is fucking great. I do really like Elf. All right. I like things in Christopher Nolan's movies. I just don't get, and I've watched some of them several times. I'm just not as obsessed as everyone else. I just don't think, just didn't like as much. All right, so now let's get into what's happened with release dates. I know some people don't love this part of the show, but it's sort of like there's not a lot of movie news right now. But the big release date, and I know people are excited for this, is Close Enough was finally announced with a release date. Zane Powers, how dare you insult the name of Cowboys and Aliens? Cheers to you. It's okay, Saber, I'll live. Thank you for Super Chat, Saber. So, Close Enough, the J.G. Quintel follow-up to regular show, which we have been waiting so long. I really kept considering on making a lost media video on Close Enough. I'm so glad it's finally coming out. I'm excited because I felt like J.G. Quintel, I have a real emotional attachment to regular show. I feel it feels very close to, not really any of the characters' emotional arcs are close to my real life, but just that kind of hanging out at a crappy job vibe. I made that video, The Regularity of Regular Show, check it out, kind of going more into that. I'm excited because this is about him with a kid, and I like J.G. Quintel, and I want him to keep making stuff, and I loved HBO, loved regular show, and I love J.G. Quintel, and I'm excited for a new thing from him. I just think he's a great creator, and I'm excited for this new thing, and I don't know, looks cool. I'm probably gonna get HBO Max more for this, to be honest, than anything. So I'm very excited for Close Enough. But yeah, I think, we'll see. I think it's a huge deal. It's one of the biggest announcements in animation for me personally, and it's one of my most anticipated things of the summer, especially right now. So, and I think it kind of, like, a lot of people aren't acting like, I think you can see how the difference in how, Niji Kichu's here. Okay, fun fact for Niji Kichu. Thank you, Niji Kichu. Fun fact, a kid went up to Alec Guinness asking for an autograph and that he'd seen Star Wars over 100 times. He replied he'd sign it if the kid doesn't watch that crap ever again, making the kid cry. Cheers to you. That is true. I know that's true. Cheers to you. Niji Kichu comes in like, whoosh. You never see Niji Kichu coming. That is a good fun fact. I like that story, even though it's me. Other HBO Max announcements, HBO Max is sort of different in that they're kind of banking on their library and less of their new announcement stuff. Thus why there isn't a ton of it. But Distant Land, the Adventure Time's Distant Lands comes out June 25th. I think I've said that before, but why not? Let's say it again. An American Pickle, the Seth Rogen film, which could be interesting, is coming out on August 6th. There we go. All right. So I want to talk about some announcements. And the thing with theaters right now just seems very, let's say, weird. Everyone's kind of sending us confusing messages. And I'm going to kind of break this down because in a 24-hour period, I think I tweeted something about this. One company basically was like, here's a big thing for streaming. Here's a big thing for theaters. And you're like, wait, what? They're in the same month. Like, what do you think's happening right now? It's confusing. So, it was announced that Hamilton, the kind of films thing of the original cast, which was supposed to come out in October 2021, is now coming out on July 3rd on Disney+. A lot of people have questioned why didn't they release it sooner. It's more because they had a touring production. They want to make a lot of money off that touring production because literally it is going to be... those things were selling out everywhere. With the touring production, they're making so much money, they really didn't want to stop that. So most of the time when they release like a film DVD of an original cast, let me put this down, a film DVD of an original cast, they wait till the show's been on for a while and they've kind of made as much money as they possibly make. That's just kind of standard. That's why like the Rent DVD came out way late. It's not that unusual. It's just like people, since it's a movie and there's more money involved, people were questioning it, but it makes sense. I think, honestly, this also has to do with the fact that they're running out of places to put movies, and I think they're like, well, if we move Hamilton up, we know that'll get us people, and Disney's losing like billions of dollars, and they want to get people in Disney Plus, especially with HBO Max coming out in a few weeks, or 2 weeks or something. So, we'll see what's going to happen, but right after that, they kind of, both Tenet and Mulan, both those companies said they're definitely coming out on their release dates. We were supposed to hear this week if they were going to move. They've kind of confirmed they're not going to move. And even though right after that, California instituted, or Los Angeles instituted 3 more months of stay at home, which would kind of insinuate that you can't have fucking Tenet come out in theaters without losing what is actually the #1 movie market in America, not be able to open movies in. So you'd think... you wouldn't want to do that, as well as I don't know if I feel safe going to a theater. I don't think a lot of people do. So I think, maybe you should move Tenet. Now, there is a rumor, and I'm going to specify this as rumor, but it's a well-educated one, in that Tenet could be moved back. Oh, here we go. We got a fun fact. ToonJ723, thank you very much. Fun fact, Chalk Zone was supposed to premiere in autumn 2000, but was delayed till March 2002 for unknown reasons, similar to Close Enough's weird hiatus. ToonJ723, thank you. That's an interesting fun fact. Cheers to you. Cheers to you. All right. Killed the first Red Bull. The sugar Red Bull, I guess, this time. But yeah, the rumor is basically that yes, Tenet would take Wonder Woman's date in August. Wonder Woman would take Wonder Woman would take the Dune date in December, and Dune would move to 2021, which, to be honest, is probably a better idea at this point. Because a challenging big blockbuster in the December of this year with all this going on, I'm sorry, it just does not sound like a great idea. So that seems to be a more educated response, but they have yet to do so. And having Disney literally say, we're putting out Hamilton on July 3rd, which to me means because July 4th celebrations are being canceled everywhere, makes sense. You'd want to do that because people have something to watch at home, much like how Frozen 2 has become a major title over this whole COVID time because kids keep watching it. make Hamilton that as well. I mean, I'm going to watch Hamilton on Disney Plus. I love the soundtrack. I've never actually seen it, just by living in New York. So we'll see what's going on, but it was confusing, them like literally in 24 hours being like, we're not moving with Mulan, but here's something to streaming. Insinuates that they do a major property like that. You assume everyone's still in the pandemic, even if it's Hamilton. But they basically just spent $70 million for a streaming service movie, which a lot of people are freaking out about, while Netflix is paying $200 million for like Ryan Reynolds, Michael Bay action movies. So it's really not as extreme. It's just extreme because everyone thought it was going to theaters. It is now not. Under the new Academy rules, I guess, it could actually be nominated because at one point it had a release date. So anyway, that's a little side note there. I believe that. New Mutants got a release date of its 5th release date of August 28th, 2020. We'll see if it keeps that, but that is its 5th release date. I'm a little surprised they're not just pushing it to Hulu. I think if things get moved back further, we'll see that. A lot of people are saying that's not a great release date, and almost every pundit and box office person has said that wouldn't be a good release date in normal times, but like this isn't normal times, and time and these release dates, other than like the holiday season, which I don't even know if are going to happen at this point, mean virtually nothing. So anyone who says that's a bad release date doesn't know shit, because who knows what the world's going to be at that release date right now. You know what I mean? So anyway, also animated film called Ron's Gone Wrong from Disney. It's a Fox animated film. It is not made by the 3 animation studios they currently own. It's like a separate animation studio, believe it or not. It's coming out April 23rd, 2021. So, Unhinged is trying to be... I notice you, Eric Peralta. There you go. You can stop. You don't want to get... You don't want to get messed up there. Banned or anything, but you can chill. It's cool. I talked about close enough. Unhinged wants to come out, I believe it's July 1st. Is it July 1st? Am I right about this? Yes, July 1st. It is a film about Russell Crowe, who gets really bad road rage because a lady cuts him off on the road, and then decides to stalk her and like kill her family and stuff because he has such bad road rage. And he even says like, "Lady, I'm having a hard time. Let's just accept my apology," because he was rude to her, and then she doesn't. He goes on a white guy rage thing. It's ridiculous. I laughed while watching the trailer. I'm going to tell you, if this was on Netflix or streaming service or even VOD, I would watch it. But for theaters, I'm kind of think it's hilarious that they think, Solstice Entertainment thinks that this is going to make people go to the theaters. If it was like 10 years ago and I was drunk, I would absolutely see this movie drunk. It sounds hilarious. And yeah, it is it's hilarious. Unhinged, watch the Unhinged trailer. It looks super ridiculous. Like a really dumb action movie. I know like Netflix keeps having huge numbers with their action stuff. If Unhinged was on Netflix, guarantee it would be a huge hit. They should just sell it to Netflix. I know a lot of theaters did open this past week. And the heart-shaped box song. Thank you, Bruce Parker, for bringing that up. The heart-shaped box song, the serious heart-shaped box song, was ridiculous. Why heart-shaped box? Like, I didn't understand that. Why nothing about, like, I can't drive 55? Like, something about cars. But no. Anyway. Yeah. We'll see. In other news, the other film that was supposed to kick off the summer movie season, not Tenet, was Purge 5. It has been pulled from the release calendar. Unfortunately, we do not have a date on that one. And movie theaters, if you are wondering, two more movie theater stories, I guess. Movie theaters have said when they open Tenet, Mulan, the idea is that those will be the only kind of wide releases, and most theaters will be playing 1 or 2 of those movies in several theaters. So a multiplex will have 5 or 7 or 8 theaters just for Tenet, or so forth for Mulan, so they're able to space people out. They're saying like 25 to 50% capacity is the plan right now when they open for those things, but that's their plan, is to just not have a ton of smaller releases, just let it be wide releases so they can get people going, and then open things up further from there. That's if they're actually able to do that. So Netflix buys Bad Trip. I'm not sure if I talked about this before. Well, I've talked about Bad Trip because Will has brought up. I know Will is very much into F in the chat for the Purge. Purge, thank you. Netflix. Bad Trip is a film I know Will has brought up before and brought up to me, and it has been bought by Netflix after it was leaked by Amazon, after its South by Southwest thing, which was really trying to angle South by Southwest to build buzz for it, and that fell apart. But it's finally been bought by Netflix, so that's where it's going. South Korea has started to do have contact-free movie theaters in which you order your movies beforehand. You buy your tickets through one of those machines, which I do because I don't like dealing with the ticket counter. It takes too long. You just do the machine. It's very easy. But so for me, I guess not much would change, and there'd be a space between each customer, and they have started to do that with contact-free things. Apparently, American companies have been looking at that situation, so we'll see what's going on there. But the big news this week was Amazon said there was a rumor that Amazon was going to be buying AMC. So here's the thing. I learned about this today, actually. Apparently, Amazon did have a talk with an AMC, but it wasn't the movie theater chain. It was the channel AMC Networks, which is like, not the theater chain. It's like a different company. So AMC, the theater chain, stock price went way up. The thing about the AMC Amazon thing, which seems to be an obsession for so many people, which I do not understand. I mean, I get it because, yes, theoretically they could. And it would be very easy for them because they have lots of money. My thing still maintains that. And I don't think them buying AMC makes a lot of sense. I mean, I think maybe 5 years ago, but it's like Walking Dead's kind of, not as big as it used to be. Mad Men isn't really as popular as it used to be. It just doesn't really make a lot of sense either way. I think they're just having talks, and that leaked, and then apparently the source who gave it to the Daily Mail insinuated it was the wrong thing. So they basically fucked with the stock market because someone misunderstood that there are two AMCs. Interesting, huh? Interesting. Ryan said, our sewer chat from Ryan, oh well, everybody's heard about the Purge. Purge is the word. Oh, Purge is, I can't do Buddy Holly. I love Buddy Holly. Oh, cheers to you, Ryan. Oh well, everybody's heard about the Purge. Purge is the word. Purge. Oh, no. It's the bird. It's the bird. It's not. I figured out. Well, everybody's heard about the Purge. Purge is the word. Oh well, Purge is the word. I don't know why you're making me do this, Ryan. This is cheers to you, I guess. Oh yeah, Breaking Bad. That's probably makes more sense, actually. But anyway, I don't think anything is going to happen with the Amazon thing. But again, they have a relationship with Regal. I think they're probably going to buy Regal. If they're buying anybody, that would make most sense. Most of their stores are in Regals. There's all this infrastructure already set up with Regal. I'm just saying, there's more of a thing there. It's well documented. Everybody needs to stop with this AMC thing unless they actually say they're actually buying AMC, which they have actually not done at all. They've probably called them once to be like, how much? Like, I don't know, maybe. We'll figure it out later. Like, that seems to be the most that have really come with it. A lot of people is Jim is trying his best. Thank you, Cornbread. A lot of people think that one thing they might do with either with AMC stubs is have your Prime account connected to your AMC stubs, so you get like unlimited movies and things like that, which would actually sound really cool for Prime members. So if they were able to do that, I think that would work. Anyway. Moving on, New Zealand apparently is going to start production again. This will make sure that apparently the Avatar sequels, whatever I keep seeing, are not going to are not going to be delayed. I keep seeing that. I don't know how true that is, but that's what I keep hearing, that they will not be delayed. Oh, here we go. Now seeing Goldfinger's pretending to be Superman. I don't know about that one. I don't know about that one. I don't know that one as well. But thank you also for the super chat. We opened the second Rebel. And Will said, and thank you for bringing this up, because Vaster Knight looks cool. Before I forget, Vaster Knight was moved to drop on on Prime May 30th. Have it on your radar. Thank you, Will, because I wanted to watch that. So cheers to you. Cheers to both of you. Let me take another one. Thank you, Austin. All right. Hello, Zodberg. How's it going? Anyway, so Avatar sequels are going to keep going. The Matrix movies, apparently they signed everyone to an 8-week extension to keep production going. There's rumors that movie stars are still getting paid during this time and making these productions go way over budget. That doesn't sound like something that would go on with the Matrix. It sounds like they're just contracting them so they can't move on to other projects, things like that. But who knows? So there's a lot about the Batman this week, and it was just like interview bullshit, and it became such a big thing. There one was that Ryan Pattinson, that's his brother, I guess, maybe, said that he's not working out and all this stuff because 70s actors. I guess it's sort of like whatever with that. But the one that was interesting was Andy Serkis says Matt Reeves' Batman will be dark and gritty, which does not sound interesting to me at all. I would really like a detective Batman movie. I don't need another Frank Miller Batman. I'm really sick of that. I already said it on Twitter, but it's just getting old. Like, find another person who wrote Batman to base your crap on. Frank Miller is cool. Like, some of that stuff is great. He's not a cool person at all. But let's stop using that. I'm sick of it. I'm just sick of it. Like, please stop doing that. Like, just like, can this really be the last, like, dark, gritty Batman? Can we just do Batman the Animated Series as a movie? I think that would be best. I just wanted to... He's from Detective Comics. You guys know that, right? Alright, next is, there was a Lego PSA recently about COVID with Chris Pratt and Elizabeth Banks. I was surprised by this because I thought that there were kind of Warner Brothers properties, and it seems to me that the DreamWorks deal, or the Universal deal, would mean they would make new characters, but the fact that they appeared on the Legos YouTube channel, that makes me think that maybe those characters could be in the new Universal Lego movie. So it kind of it's a cute little PSA. It's nothing I was just surprised by that. Okay, so James Cameron brought up. I don't know if you've heard about this, but there was a kind of a bidding war when the rights for Jurassic Park between James Cameron and Steven Spielberg, and actually no one was sure who it was going to go to. It was really close, and it went to Steven Spielberg. And James Cameron later said recently that he thinks that was a good move because his would have been way darker than Steven Spielberg's, and that dinosaurs are sort of a kid thing, and it made more sense for that to be Steven Spielberg than him. I agree, but it's always kind of been a big what if, what he would have planned for Jurassic Park. I don't think we've ever heard about I don't know if we've ever heard about any of his plans for Jurassic Park, but I didn't know about there's been a lot of... Austin, could you I didn't know about the death of the co-writer of Mask of the Phantasm. I must have missed that at some point, but that's sad. That's very sad. I saw a lot of people die this way. That must have passed me somehow, so I apologize. Anyway, questions are later, Eric. Don't worry. All right. So according to a YouTube description on a Vanity Fair video, the Rugrats Revival is coming this fall. I don't think we have a real date, and it seems sort of unconfirmable, but also confirmable that there is going to be a Rugrats Revival, and it's coming this fall, so that's sort of news. So it came out that the Hayo Miyazaki, or Studio Ghibli's producer, said that the new Hayo Miyazaki film is actually probably going to take like 3 years, because they make about a minute a month, meaning they make 12 minutes a year. They have about 36 minutes done over the past 3 years, because they're clearly animating on ones, which is insane. You know, at this point, it's like Miyazaki's done everything he'd ever want to do, and I think it makes sense. Like, he's an animation legend. Like, you know, Takahata got to like work on his dream projects for like 10 years and like mess around with stuff and change things around. So like, why not Miyazaki? I don't really mind it if he wants to do stuff like this, but it sounds like it sucks to work on realizing you're making so little progress. But if it's a great Miyazaki movie, then why not? Okay, hold on. Let me see this. I think you did, and I like probably missed it. I apologize. Oh, that is sad. Okay, well, I'll add it again. I'm sorry if I missed that one. I don't know. I guess I missed that. I'm sorry, Austin. That bums me out that I missed that, so I apologize. All right, so another thing that was announced this week is a new Sesame Street cartoon. It's called Mecha Buddies. It's basically the Sesame Street characters is kind of like mecha robot things. I'm not really into this. I kind of like the idea of a Sesame Street cartoon. They actually have great cartoons on their YouTube channel, and I thought it would be those. I know Sophie likes those, but this doesn't really sound like something I'm as interested in. I've seen some of them on the show before, but I don't understand why they're moving forward to this, but they are, so cool for them. So, I don't think I've ever talked about this movie before, but it is a real movie. It is a real movie, and I'm a little shocked that it's a real movie. So, it's called Moonfall. I don't know if you guys know what Moonfall is, but it's real. It's literally, okay, it's about the moon, which is falling into Earth. It's a Toby Emmerich disaster movie. Yes, the guy who brought you 2012 and Independence Day. It's his new movie. Josh Gad was cast. But let me tell you this description, because I just find this to be hilarious. Moonfall sees this plot go into action when the moon is knocked from its orbit by a mysterious force and is on a collision course with Earth. Life as we know it hangs in the balance, and with just weeks to go before impact, a ragtag team is sent on a seemingly impossible mission to land on the lunar surface and save humanity. Yep, Moonfall. I remember hearing about this years ago, and I thought, there's no way they'll make Moonfall, and then Josh Gad got cast in it this week. So, yeah. Yeah, I don't know. So there was a Toucan Sam redesign. I guess I should call it a sort of Cal Arts redesign, if you will, or whatever. I didn't really have much of an issue with it. It does feel like a 2010s Cartoon Network-y kind of redesign to me. I don't, you know, it's funny, I don't really mind these redesigns and when people make things more contemporary, but it does seem to, like, in the last 10 years, when people try to make things, not necessarily like they're like, let's make things hip, but like, let's make things like, you know, let's reboot things in a current way. And I never felt that way about like when people did that in the 60s or 70s and things like that. There wasn't that much backlash. But now people get so upset, maybe because they have the internet and they were upset before and they just couldn't reflect that. But I just find this like a natural evolution of where animation goes and all that. But I do think it's a little funny that they changed Toucan Sam so much and he has a weird adventure-timey Toucan Sam world. Is bizarre to me. But, you know, I didn't understand the backlash. It's just sort of weird, but it does make me think about Fruit Loops. So that, you know, worked there, I guess. I mean, it's a nice little thing. Courtney's right. It's a cute design. You know, there you go. So, I think we're getting, where are we? Oh, we got some stuff. We got some stuff, I think. Sort of. Anyway, so, Josh Trank seems to be taking the negative reviews of Capone well that came out, was it this week or last week or whenever? I forget. But he seems to be handling all this well, liking the attention. Doesn't seem like anyone really likes Capone, but everyone's just sort of happy he's back and doing well and all that stuff. So, good for him. I probably will never see Capone. Frank Oz, who did a great, according to Ryan, but I'm sure it was, thing on, because this was the anniversary of Jim Henson's death today, which was kind of a big moment for me as a kid, because that was kind of the first kind of big celebrity death of my life, really. Dr. Seuss was little, I didn't really get, but Jim Henson, I remember that day. I remember being on my parents' lawn. I remember driving around thinking about that. So that was a big day, because I knew the Muppets, Sesame Street, I knew his creations, Fraggle Rock, and just that was just wow, you know. But in promoting this live stream where they talked about Jim Henson and his work, Frank Oz said he hasn't seen Baby Yoda, but he does like Dark Crystal, and he doesn't like what Disney's doing with the Muppets. It's basically what you get from this IndieWire thing. But you know, I'm not surprised he hasn't seen Baby Yoda, but it's never been confirmed to actually be Yoda or any relation to Yoda, so why should he have seen it? So there was an actual cool thing from the New York Post, 20 best animated movies to stream picked by animation directors. This is a cool article, and I know this will go up too early in the chat, but I'm going to very slowly post it. But it is a great article, and if you want to check out like everyone from the director of Kung Fu Panda 2 to Jorge Gutierrez to lots of people picking great animated films. Most of them are ones you've seen and are familiar with, but they're cool ones to see anyway. There is apparently a Percy Jackson series in development at Disney Plus because, of course, there is. I think this is sort of probably a better idea than Artemis Fowl because these are things that were a lot bigger like 10 years ago and aren't as big now. And making a huge blockbuster movie out of them was probably a bad idea. But it seems like that is what's happening. I don't think we have any information on that one. So there is going to be another Scarface remake from the director of Call Me by Your Name, Luque Guadagnino. And at first I think people go, oh, they can't remake Scarface, and they go, oh, Scarface is already a remake, blah 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 blah. That's fine, but let's talk about why this is an actual interesting project, because I think no one's really paying attention to that. This Scarface that he is directing has a script that has been written by the Coen brothers, and their pick to play Scarface is Michael B. Jordan. That sounds really cool to me. If someone's like, that sounds interesting. I think Luca Guadagnino with a Michael B. Jordan and a Coen brothers script, that sounds good. I don't see why that wouldn't be good. That sounds cool to me. The other thing with Scarface, and everyone seems to be confused about this, Scarface, the original, was about bootlegging. It was, I do not believe the original character was Hispanic. 12 Bridges did come out, believe it or not. I don't believe he was Hispanic, and it was more about bootlegging. It's kind of in the vein of Public Enemy, which is a favorite of mine. Scarface is probably, I think, maybe the second best of the 30s gangster films, second to Public Enemy, which is interesting when you think of the Howard Hawks things. Most of them were good, but not as good as William Wellman stuff. But that's all other thing. But the storyteller is very good. You guys can just write things once, like, it's cool. I've noticed there's a lot of that going on. Let's try not to do that too much. They put... Oh, okay. Sorry, pop culture guy. Apologies for calling you out there. You're great. It is a good show. So apologies. Anyway, where were we? Yes. So, but the whole idea of the original Scarface, and then it was translated to the 80s when there was like cocaine and people coming into Miami, and he was Cuban, he was Al Pacino, but he was playing a Cuban man. And so what to do with a new version? Well, why not change ethnicities again in a new version, and he should be black in this. And I think that's actually a really great idea instead of the the cool thing about the Brian De Palma one, the one that people talk about all the time, is they sort of missed the point of what the 80s one was, which was a re-examination of saying how bootlegging and alcohol prohibition was like drug prohibition, and there's like things to read into that, and like how the government's restrictive of these things doesn't necessarily work, and all this. Oh, hold on. Will said, Capone wasn't good, what a shock, but I'm recommending an earlier work of his, a miniseries, The Kill Point, good stuff, just landed on Prime/IMDb TV. Okay, I was confused about when you mentioned Kill Point before. Well, so that's a TV show. Okay. Maybe I will look that up. Cheers to you. Jim loves Hudson Hawk? I'm not sure where the fuck that came from. Oh, I say Hudson... No, I meant... Anyway, I've never seen Hudson Hawk. Maybe I should. Sorry, Austin. Let me do your being. Alright, cheers to you, Will. But yeah, so it's kind of... What I always found interesting about the 80s one is most people are huge fans of the 80s one. I go, oh, you've seen the 30s one. I understand like what remaking it means. They're like, no, I never have. I always find that odd. Not that I think I'm smarter than anyone who's seen Scarface 140 times, but it's weird that they've seen it 140 times, and the way I see it is a different perspective from them entirely because I've seen this other movie, and they just don't understand that perspective because they just haven't seen a movie that's a lot shorter, frankly. But whatever. I've always found that odd about Scarface. I need to make a video about the similarities because it says a lot about what they're saying with the 80s Scarface. It's a postmodern film that you really need the information of the original to understand that film. I think they could do that again. I think that would make a lot of sense. I don't think prohibition in terms of drugs has changed enough to warrant it, though. So that is sort of an issue, because going from, alcohol prohibition to drug prohibition and changing that and having an interesting thing to say with that is what made that Scarface so interesting. But not having much what are you saying with it? You know what I mean? Like, there's nothing, find something interesting to say. Changing the ethnicity of Scarface, you could. And so that could be interesting. Or changing the drug, prescription drugs, for example, that could work. So I think there are ways you could get that to work, is what I'm saying. Scarface could about pirating movies. Yo, when Scoob drops, rip that shit immediately. Work. Anyway, sorry. All right, so another one. Danny Boyle announced another film with Michael B. Jordan, Methuselah, which is the thing, I guess. Michael B. Jordan, it seems like, is lining up a lot of projects. Basically, every studio loves Michael B. Jordan, and why wouldn't they? He's a movie star, and he's great. So a bunch of George Miller stuff, because it was the 5th anniversary of Fury Road. I know there was an oral history of the New York Times on Fury Road. I did not get to read it, unfortunately, but I would like to. If I do, I will write down notes in the next week. But his next film, 3,000 Years of Longing, has finally gone to MGM. All we know is it stars Tilda Swinton and Idris Elba. We really don't know anything. We know there's a lot of talking and stuff and interesting visuals, but it's like, that sounds like every George Miller movie, so I don't know. But it is his post-Fury Road film, and I've been interested in what that is. And he has a weird filmography, Mad Max to Happy Feet. He actually won his Oscar for Happy Feet. But it sounds like the Mad Max prequel about Furiosa is really coming along. Almost all of the crew who made Fury Road is coming back to make Furiosa, which, they're the real stars of that movie, if we're being honest. They thought about bringing Charlize back and having her do, like, de-aging and stuff, but they're going to make they're going to recast her. Anna Taylor-Joy is rumored, and lots of other people, but we'll see what happens with that. But it does sound like the whole Mad Max team back together again. They're all very old, so I just want that movie to happen, because I would love to have a 5th Mad Max movie. A 4th one was a miracle, and that it turned out to be one of the best ones. I don't want to, between that and Road Warrior, it's hard, but I'm excited for that. So a huge movie landed at Netflix this week. It's called Ball and Chain, about a married couple who have superpowers, and they only have superpowers when they're together. That married couple is Emily Blunt and The Rock. I'm a little surprised. My nose is always itchy when I stream. I don't know what that's about. I'm a little surprised that Disney or a bigger studio didn't get this. It seems to happen a lot with these big projects that cost a lot that are original, which I find to be ridiculous, because, like, you have these people who are clear movie stars, and, like, Emily, I guess it's also that they're probably going to sell Ball and Chain when the Jungle Cruise movie was going to happen, and clearly Emily Blunt and The Rock, like, working together. But it sounds like a cool movie, and I'm curious about the Red Notice thing with The Rock and all those people. Are we beyond Thunderdome? Aren't we beyond Thunderdome? Is that Are We Beyond Thunderdome? Austin, cheers to you. I don't think we are yet. But Ball and Chain sounds cool. It has made a deal with Netflix. No date on that, because when can they make it? I actually don't know what this show is called. Someone did put it in the Discord, and I did see this part. Is Ball and Chain a comic? I guess it is. Is this 2D Lego show, is it the Eternal Evil? No, that's the Twitter account. What? Let me click on this, because I don't know what I'm talking about. But I watched the footage, and it looked awesome. Like, I didn't think a 2D Lego show would look this good. I was a little shocked by it. What's it called? I don't even know what it's called. Does it matter? Everyone in the chat's going to be like, Jim, how can you not know the name of this show? But it looks great. There's a new 2D Lego show, and they're going to say it in like 10 seconds, and I'm going to feel stupid about that, basically. Did Ryan... computer's being weird. Monkey Kid. Monkey Kid? Okay, where is that on anyway? I want to see it, because it looks really great. It looks wonderful. It was awesome show. I'm going to check that out wherever it is. Where is it, guys? Let me know. I'll try to watch it. Okay, so, Rise of TMNT. Okay, cool. I should check that out. Someone wanted me to look up Deep Blue Sea 3. I did not get to. Maybe I'll look that up at the end before I take a break. How about that? Okay, so Phil Lord and Chris Miller have finally announced a new movie, although they've talked about other ones and possibly being made, but this sounds like it was really happening. A new book from the author of The Martian. They bought the rights up before it came out or has a name or anything, and Ryan Gosling is attached. Apparently someone's going to be apparently it's going to be about an astronaut from the guy who made The Martian. Sounds pretty cool to me, and I'm happy for Phil Lord and Chris Miller. It sounds like a different film from them, but I think if you think they were to make The Martian, I think that would be cool. Sorry, I wanted to finish that before I got to you. Nijikichu. Scoob may be the first instance in every Scooby-Doo incarnation where it does not end with Scooby saying the Scooby-Doo catchphrase. Really? That sucks. Anyway, Carter Wright, thank you for being here, by the way. That's hard to say. I also didn't like that, like, Velma didn't say Jinkies. Like, what was that about? Anyway, cheers to you. I didn't know that. That's interesting. But yeah, that sounds like a cool Phil Lord and Chris Miller thing. The last blockbuster, which I know is like a thing for like people want the Pizza Party movie to be there. I like that the Pizza Party movie, like, I was thinking like how everyone's vision of a Pizza Party movie is so low key and chill, and like we could never make a movie about like us saving the universe and like our bedrooms or spaceships, like, you know, Linkara or something. It's like, I think that's a positive. But anyway, the last blockbuster is doing well in the pandemic. They're trying to come up with ways. They're still paying all their staff. You know what? I gotta say, last blockbuster, make a Patreon, guys, because you deserve some support and the fact that you're still around. And if you ever do a last blockbuster virtual con, I would love for the Pizza Party to do a panel. I have not asked anyone in the podcast to do that, but I'm sure I could convince them. Or they would say no. So in other news, 200 theaters have been opening this Friday as more places are going to reopen. We're going to see more and more theaters open rather than just drive-ins, but other theaters are trying to open. They're independent theaters. They're not AMC, Regal, Cinemark, the big chains who refuse to do so until July when they actually have content. It's interesting what they're doing, but a lot of it would be things like, like Goonies, I've heard, Wizard of Oz, like classic things. I'm sort of not, I get needing the money to keep your business going, but I it just doesn't seem like the right thing to do right now. But more theaters are opening up, as well as a bunch of Alamo Drafthouse franchisees, not the company, have been declaring bankruptcy, which I've heard about, which worries me. I'm wondering, because Alamo Drafthouse requires a lot of money to make that huge structure and like a huge staff. Like, that's a big money operation. I'm not sure how many of those will survive, especially the one in Brooklyn was going to do a remodel of a bunch of places. I don't know if that will happen there. I don't think Scoob was prepared for theaters. I keep seeing people say, maybe it's being playing at drive-ins, but I've heard nothing about that. I think it's just on demand. I think Trolls World Tour said they did. I don't think they actually did there, but we'll see. There was... I don't know if you've been watching the Olaf at home things. They're kind of continuing making this. And Josh Gad's been making a lot of at home, like, quarantine content. He did a Back to the Future reunion. He did a Goonies reunion. He's done both the Disney sing-alongs. But they made a new Olaf song from the writers of Frozen this week. They basically just do a little animation for the at home things, like 20, 30 seconds. They don't even go through a minute. This song was just Olaf singing. I think it's the beginning and the end. And they just have clips from Disney crap. Or Disney animated films going throughout. It was cute. Sophie liked it. We like watching the Olaf at home things. If you're a fan of Frozen, they're actually really great for kids and all that. But they made a new song, and I think that's kind of nice of them to just release that instead of making a Frozen short that plays before a movie that I didn't really want to do. Okay, only 3 things, and then Obituaries, and then I'm going to take a break, and then we'll go to the Scooby-Doo project. So, Night Wolf. This is a film with Kevin Hart. It is going to be directed by Tim Story. You're probably like, why would I talk about this? But it's actually sort of an interesting concept. It's about a guy who meets his girlfriend's dad to basically get his permission to marry her and stuff. The dad turns out to be a former superhero. They have not cast the superhero guy yet. There are kind of rumors, and on Jeff Snyder's podcast, The Snyder Cut, which is a good podcast, he brings up 3 people he thinks could do it, and he actually, I thought, made compelling arguments for each. The first, which would be easier, would be Samuel L. Jackson, obviously because of superhero bona fides and he's more active in movies and so forth. The second would be Eddie Murphy, because an Eddie Murphy, Kevin Hart movie sounds like it would make a lot of money, and I agree. And then the third would be Denzel Washington. I think the interesting thing about this project that a lot of people haven't brought up is it's directed by Tim Story, who, although more famous for the Barbershop movies, Ride Along. Didn't he do Barbershop? I think he did Barbershop. I know he did Ride Along and Think Like a Man, both of those. But he also did the Fantastic Four movies. And I think that he could kind of make, kind of throwback to the 2000s era pre-Marvel superhero stuff and like the flashbacks. I think that would actually be kind of cool. I'm not sure who we would get, but I think that would be... I think that could be a cool movie if they do it right, to be honest with you. I'm sort of looking out for that one. All right, so I kind of wanted to bring this up. Well, I'll bring up one quick thing. So do you know what the biggest movie in the world was last weekend at the box office? Well, let me tell you. It was the Woody Allen movie that will not be released in America and that started a huge lawsuit with Amazon called A Rainy Day in New York, because it is opened in other countries, and since it is probably the only sort of new movie, it did pretty well. Only making about $300,000, but it was the #1 movie worldwide last weekend, A Rainy Day in New York. I'm a little curious to see it because I guess it is lost media, but yeah, that's an interesting little side note that the Woody Allen movie that probably and actually called New York in it won't actually play in America, and that all the cast gave their salaries to charity because they don't want to be associated with it. But it was the #1 movie in the world last week. So I find this kind of odd, is that Netflix makes these huge action movies and like 70, 80 million people supposedly watch them, according to them. And Extraction, 90 million people watch, which according, to rough math means like, that would be like over $200 million at the box office, something like that. The thing is like, I've never bought that really, I've never really bought that, but the thing I find odd about that is like the Mark Wahlberg film Spencer Confidential supposedly got like 60 million people. Extraction got 90 million people. What's odd about that is I hear no one talk about either of these films. I didn't even know Winston Dukes and Spencer Confidential. I kind of might watch that later. I'm sort of curious now. I know it's a Peter Berg, Mark Wahlberg film and Mark Maron's in it or something. And I sort of like Mark Maron. I don't know. I just find the Netflix action, it's sort of maybe a tangent, but I just find it so odd. It's like Triple Frontier. Like, I remember when that came out, I was excited. It was like, I can watch a big movie at home and review it, and it'll be easier. And it just feels like people see these things and forget. Like, even people I know who saw Extraction, like, didn't care. Or the people I know who've seen Spencer Confidential can barely talk about it, and they saw it 2 days later. The weird thing about Netflix is, like, they have so many eyeballs on them, but there's certain things that, like, ignite the public consciousness and people can't shut up about, like Tiger King or Stranger Things or whatever. And then they have these other things that get huge numbers, and if you ask someone to say anything about, they just can't. And I find that to be such a lost opportunity, and I hope Netflix starts correcting that, because it's just a shame. Because it's just like, Unhinged sounds like people would actually talk about, but like Extract, I don't know. I haven't seen them. I kind of want to, I like to see things that make a lot of money, just so I'm sort of like in, sort of know what's going on, but it just seems so weird to me that they like have such huge numbers. When I was reading that this week, I was like, but like Spencer Confidential, like it's like, more people talked about Onward during its opening weekend than either of these movies. And like, I don't know, it's kind of gets into like maybe the new media landscape is more about like what people talk about than what actually makes the most money. Maybe that's the real conversation. I don't know. Anyway, so before I get to the obituaries, I think I've mentioned this before. A comic book store that meant a lot to me growing up, Alternate Worlds, has been going through rough times, and obviously with COVID, they've been closed, and they've been doing curbside pickup with comics. They've been trying to do live streams. If they ever want a guest, I'd love to be on Alternate Worlds. You should support them if you can. But they had a video on Forbes. I will be posting on my Twitter account tomorrow. So if you're watching this later, just scroll through my Twitter. It'll be there. About what they're doing. It's about the guy who bought the business about a year ago. It's actually the longest lasting comic book store in Maryland. It's been there about 40 years, and I hope it continues, and I just feel awful for him. So anyway, yeah, if you're in Maryland and you can support them, please do. I just, it's sad to see that, and I guess maybe to most of you that doesn't mean anything, and maybe I'm being a little silly talking about it. I do talk about them too much for a store I haven't been to, and they've changed locations. I haven't been to the big new location, but and I do feel silly talking about them in a certain regard because, like, I get that nobody cares, but if they went under, I would be sort of devastated. So, I don't know. Any news about them, I just like to share because I love them. So that's what I'm doing, Before I get to more of that, I see people. So casting stuff I don't talk about as much, but I did see Timothy Oliphant is in The Mandalorian. Yeah, I did see that. Sorry, Elsa. I don't talk. I do kind of cut things, but the Batman thing, I feel bad about that. I sort of cut that. I feel bad about that. So I'll talk about this here. No, so there are we lost a lot of people this week. Obviously with COVID, we're losing a lot of people. But I think we lost two big comedic actors. Jerry Stiller earlier in the week, who had a very long life, had a crazy career. A lot of people I've heard recommending the comic roast of Jerry Stiller on Comedy Central, where his son actually roasts him. That I watched way back in the day, in the 90s on Comedy Central, when they did the roasts at the Friars Club. That, as I recall, that was great. I might rewatch that. But Jerry Stiller was a gift. And anytime he was in stuff, you'd remember him. And from his part in Seinfeld, he was amazing. Fred Willard died today, and that hits hard because we've been watching Wall-E a lot. So I've mainly been seeing him through that. But it's kind of interesting, I find, with, we lost two big comedic support, kind of character actors who would show up in a movie and you immediately love that they're there. But I think the thing with Fred Willard is he had such a long legacy he was literally in all of the Christopher Guest movies, I believe, and in Spinal Tap, which to me is like, it's technically not a Christopher Guest movie. It's directed by Rob Reiner, but it's pretty much a Christopher Guest movie. It's still my favorite of all of those, and I forgot he was in that. When I saw his obituary, I was like, yes, he was in This Is Spinal Tap, and he was hilarious in it. And This Is Spinal Tap's a fucking great movie. If you've never seen This Is Spinal Tap, it's been a while. Watch it again. It's just amazing. And everything he did for that genre, which is sort of relatively new, and he had a huge career before that. He was a great comedic actor. I never thought he got maybe the respect he necessarily should have gotten. And he's just anytime he was in a movie, you remember him. I saw so many people talk about how he was in The Loud House, he was in Modern Family, he was so active. Just sad. I didn't know he was 86 as well. Lynn Shelton also died today. I sort of saw Hump Day a long time ago. I don't remember very well. But I know her work on TV from Glow. And she was just a great TV director. We both went to the same college, apparently, which I didn't know. But she is I think it's very sad because I liked her TV work a lot. I thought she was interesting. I can't say as much about her. If Will is here and wants to write about her in the chat, feel free, Will. And sorry to put you on the spot, though. But I found that to be tragic. It was just, none of these people I think were from COVID, from other things. And then, I'm sorry about that. Martin Pasco was a DC Comics writer. He died at 65 of natural causes. I'm literally reading this, but it's sort of live reacting. He wrote for, everything from Wonder Woman to Saga of Swamp Thing, Justice League of America, and he co-wrote Mask the Phantasm. Let me just say this. Mask the Phantasm, and I don't really care, and I know you guys like animation more, but let me just say this right now. Mask the Phantasm is the best Batman movie ever. And that's an amazing script. He did a great job. And for anyone to have written a movie that good, I think he deserves our respect. So RIP to everyone. I think I talked about little... You know what? I didn't do obituaries. Let me say... Okay, alright. I'll do two more and then I'm taking a break. And then the Scooby-Doo project. I don't really have much to say about Siegfried Roy from Siegfried and Roy. I didn't... I always thought he was fun, but RIP to him. But Little Richard was a huge figure in my childhood. We had a tape that we got from a gas station. It was just like a best of Little Richard tape, but we played that tape to death. Like Tutti Frutti. There was one summer where that was the hit song in my dad's car, and I loved Little Richard. I remember he was on Full House as like the one girl's like uncle or something. I don't know. They did that, but Little Richard was a great guy. He was amazing. I think Little Richard is one of the great early rock and roll guys. The last guy left is Jerry Lee Lewis, which is whatever. But Little Richard, I was listening to some of his stuff over the past week actually, and I was just taken from like how much of a personality he was, how like genre breaking he was, how he was kind of one of the first kind of like queer rock and roll singers, or gay. I don't think we say queer anymore, so apologies. But LGBTQ rock and roll singers, or singers who really broke that mold and was kind of like fairly out if you knew what was going on, but was kind of hold back from that a lot of times. So I love Little Richard, and I'm sad to see him go. I think I got everyone, and also continue. This is the anniversary of Jim Henson's death, and R.I.P. to him continually, forever, because this world sucks without him. All right, I'm going to take a quick break. What we are going to do is I'm going to do a review of the Scooby-Doo project, and then I'm going to do Netflix recommendations with help from CineRam, and then questions. So that's the deal. I will be right back, and thank you for chilling with me this Saturday. I think it's been a good show so far. Maybe not as wacky, but anyway. I should review Father the Pride. I will be right back shortly. Okay. Whoa, whoa. You don't know donkey about Shrek. I love that. Alright, cool. Hello, everyone. I'm back again. After a little bit of break, and we're here. And yeah, I'm going to talk about... Oh, wait, are we coming through? I don't see me yet. Seem to be okay. Oh, the delay is so weird. Anyway. I did bring up the Lord and Miller space thing. I talked about that earlier. There isn't really much to say, though, right now. But I did bring it up. Choose to use the best gym phrase? Oh, I like that. Alright, so, let me just drink some water, and then I'm going to get to the Scooby-Doo project. Okay. Oh, is Pan okay? I hope so. Alright. No, it's okay. It's okay, Will. Sorry. I did, but yeah, there's not a lot to talk about it. Oh, are we having a debate on... I am going to talk about the Community movie later, Zane Powers. Oh, can we get an F.U. Simon Cowell Jim? Okay, F.U. Fuck you, Simon Cowell. There we go. Cheers to you, Austin. Alright, so... Yeah, okay. The Scooby-Doo project. Yeah. I look okay? Hold on. But, yeah. I look fine. Okay. No, that's not what I meant to... Whatever. Okay. The Scooby-Doo project. So, the Scooby-Doo project is sort of an interesting... Alright, so now I'm going to talk about the Scooby-Doo project. The Scooby-Doo project is interesting in that it is probably the best parody of the Blair Witch Project. Now, at first you're like, hey, this is, Scoob just came out. Clearly I like animation. Obviously I'm going to say that. But I'm going to tell you another thing. I was really into the Blair Witch. I actually got to see it at a preview before the limited release, and got really into it and watched all the specials and went to the website and all these things. And the Scooby-Doo project is more of a representation of all of that as well as the movie. It's actually a fairly well-researched parody of the Blair Witch Project. Now, parodies of the Blair Witch Project were literally all the rage. Everybody did one. It was obnoxious. Like Sports Center, like everyone, SNL actually had a sketch where they talked about how they weren't going to do one, or they're going to make a better one or something. Like they literally, Lorne Michaels and Cameron Diaz was there. That was not a great one, but a lot of people did one, and most lists I could see are places online where people made online video sites of the Blair Witch Project with Disney princesses or something, crap we still have on YouTube now. But even at the time, there were critical notices on how this was the best one. Now, I think what works about this is it's unexpected. You are mixing animation and live action, but as well as they are able to kind of do the lore of the Blair Witch Project. Now, I think the specials and the lore and okay, Eric Guy, I get it. I've talked about. I think I was joking about the might be release. I did talk about Close Enough, so you can drop it. Anyway, so the Scooby-Doo project, yeah, I think one of the bigger things with the Blair Witch was not just the movie, was the lore and the website and all the specials. Wait, what was I saying? Oh, I totally lost my train of thought. Fucking need to not look at him. Anyway, where was I? Okay, but when they combine animation and live action and kind of have these cool things, what they meant to do... okay, So, but yes, they used kind of the lore and all of that, and that was kind of a big part of what made the Blair Witch Project its sort of viral marketing campaign. And clearly, they watched all of that stuff. And so, if you watch what they do with the Scooby-Doo project, is they not only have the parody, is these things with the cops going through the tapes. That's not in the Blair Witch Project, the movie. And I've noticed a bunch of videos say like they have this strange like foreboding thing with the Blair Witch Project with these cops and like saying they haven't found the kids. Those are from the specials and the website of them like showing the tapes they found and everything like that. And so they clearly like went really into the Blair Witch Project and just went through it. And so this and went through like everything and all the possibilities of the Blair Witch Project and kind of really understood it more so than just going like, let's have, Daphne or Velma go, I'm so scared, or run through the woods. Like they really got into the Blair Witch Project, which I found interesting. Now this was actually produced by William Street before there was kind of an Adult Swim. They'd make like Space Ghost and things like that. They'd make like Space Ghosts and weird bumpers and things like that. Let me stop for a second and say, might we forget the phenomenon that was Blair Thumb? You can't beat that shark attack. I forget about Blair Thumb, but cheers to you because that is worth mentioning. Oh, I keep like losing my train of thought here. Okay, sorry. But I think they were able to get the whole idea of the Blair Witch Project within this and kind of be a more interesting parody. But basically what happened with how they made it was they're going to do kind of marathons of Scooby-Doo around Halloween, and they were actually going to make bumpers for each of the different marathons. And then, oh yeah, William Street. Okay, now I know how to connect this. Sorry. But yeah, so blah blah blah. Okay, so William Street, who was basically just doing Space Ghosts and sort of weird bumpers, were asked in Atlanta to make bumpers for these Scooby-Doo marathons. And they would make kind of interesting stuff. So the Scooby-Doo project is sort of a pre-Adult Swim thing. You can kind of tell that by the monster. It looks very aquatine and stuff like that. And then they basically were installed to make this. They're going to have 3 different crews make it, but then they came together and said, hey, why don't we just make this cool Blair Witch thing that'll air during all of them? And that's what they did. Now, some of these people aren't the 3 people that made them. One of them, is it Chris Kelly? See, I saw, hold on here. I saw he was named something else on IMDb. Said Casper Kelly. Oh, okay, he's Casper Chris Kelly. So Casper Kelly would go on to work for William Street and help write Too Many Cooks, as well as helped write on Mandy with Nicolas Cage. Interesting guy. But they helped come up with this whole thing. They were actually kind of like making this on the fly, and the network really liked it. The 2 cops who I mentioned, that was shot in kind of a lunchroom during the day, very quickly. The Mystery Machine they have in it, which is kind of live action, that's a real Mystery Machine that was on a promotional tour. They contacted the people who had the Mystery Machine and shot some footage with it, and then they sent it to them so they could keep doing stuff with it. They get all the voice actors at the time they get all the voice actors who were at the time doing Scooby-Doo. And if you're wondering, like, well, what were they doing at the time? Because they couldn't get them to be in Atlanta. They had to have them do over-the-phone instructions. And they actually got Scott Enos, Frank Welker, Mary Kay Bergman, and B.J. Ward to all do their voices, because they were actually, I keep seeing that they were working on Scooby-Doo Zombie Island at the time. So it's kind of an interesting offshoot that they made this cool thing. And when they played it, originally they got such good press, they then made a special out of that. I prefer if you watch the bumper versions of it than the cut together one. The bumper version is longer, it has more footage. And what I really like about this special is it kind of actually, I will say they really understood the Blair Witch Project, because it's more about them sort of hanging out and being goofy, and it does actually get scary, and it works for what Scooby-Doo is, because Scooby-Doo is sort of this weird, Scooby-Doo is like a horror type show. Like, I think people forget about that because it's sort of a kids thing, but having them in a horror movie is like sort of a perfect fit. So like, obviously them, filming it and having, Velma film it at this time and them yelling at her, it kind of goes beyond, a normal Scooby-Doo thing. But it was kind of an interesting way to take it because, of course, that they would get into a thing like this and then they have it more relate to cartoons. And it's very William Street Space Ghost kind of parody. I mean, you can kind of tell that, obviously, because they worked on it. But I really like what they did with that, because they get like most of the Blair Witch is like these people arguing with one another, like kids being goofy, things like that, and that's Scooby-Doo. So they definitely take advantage of that and get it to work within the whole thing. And they're still acting like Scooby-Doo characters while doing the Blair Witch thing. It's really ingenious, actually, and you should check it out on YouTube. I will have links in the description of this video. Is obviously a segment later. Of both the links of the segment one and the special that would air. That one, the segment ones would air on 3 marathons in October of 1999, which also, interesting fact, was around the time that the Blair Witch Project came on home video. It was rushed out on home video to come out around Halloween of that year. It actually came out in July. They rushed it out early, which never happens, just so it could be out on VHS on Halloween, which is a bad decision, I will tell you, because a lot of kids watched that movie like with a huge group, and Blair Witch Project is not a Halloween party movie. I'm going to say that. It's a movie you watch by yourself with the lights off. It's not. So a lot of people ended up hating it after that Halloween. It didn't help it, to be honest with you. But Blair Witch was on everybody's mind, particularly that Halloween. So it was like the other peak time. And they were actually worried because so many people had done Blair Witch parodies that no one would like theirs. But theirs got such great reviews and everything that they ended up putting out a full special, the 10-minute special, I believe later in November of 1999. It would actually, in 2000, win an Annie Award for Outstanding Animated Special Program, which shows you how loved it was. Like, there's lots of good reviews from, like, everyone from Vanity Fair to, Bloody Disgusting to Pace Magazine to things like that, to say, to bring up how much they liked this parody. And people were fucking sick of Blair Witch parodies when it aired, which shows you how fucking good it is. But I think it was people who William Street, before they really broke out, people did like the Adult Swim vibe at that time, because it was mostly reruns and you have to come up with creative ways to repackage things. And William Street was genius at that. Between like Space Ghost and having like the animated cartoons with a laugh track and everything like this. And this is one of their high points. I know they'd later make another one later talking about Night of the Living Dead, but I thought I'd talk about this one because I've always really liked this special. And I think what I really wanted to bring up is how well it understood the Blair Witch Project and the phenomenon. And I think it understood that better than all the other parodies who sort of just went like, haha, whatever, get it, these characters in a Blair Witch scenario. They understood that, and they understood the phenomenon and all the other like expanded lore of Blair Witch that is in there as well, which is, even though it's a quick little thing, it's referencing something from those documentaries. I can tell you, I watched them. So it's just really a really smart parody, actually. And I think they did a good job with it. It's also, I think, the only Scooby-Doo thing where everyone's dead at the end. And apparently they did actually bring up this in, like, I think it was the big game Roadrunner vs. Coyote thing. And apparently Fred talked about it, and he revealed the other members. They escaped from the monster, and it was just a guy in the mask in the end and stuff like that. So this did come up later, that like they didn't actually get murdered, but whatever. I think this is probably the best Blair Witch parody. I'm sure none of you really remember the onslaught of Blair Witch parodies, but the fact that this still gets brought up, and I looked it up, and it's the only Blair Witch parody with as many reviews and as many articles written about it. And I think because it's such an interesting creative concept, it also shows you how smart William Street was, and having almost knocked over the mic there, and having having Chris Kelly there, who would eventually work on Too Many Cooks and countless other properties for Adult Swim and Mandy, shows you that clearly, like, these guys were like coming up and clearly very talented, and people were recognizing it. And it's just like a really funny special. If you're a fan of Scooby-Doo, it's definitely an adult thing, but if you're a fan of Scooby-Doo, it's 100% worth a watch. So check out the Scooby-Doo Project. And check out the Scooby-Doo Project, which will definitely go down as the best Blair Witch parody. I mean, it's a definitely better parody than that third movie. So anyway, I'm sorry that I said Blair Thumb doesn't exist. I totally forgot about it and haven't seen it in like 20 years, Will. So I'm sorry. I'll recognize the thumb stuff at some point. All right, so let me drink some water, and we'll get to the Netflix part. You guys should look it up, by the way. I'll try to tweet it out when I make this review and all that. So, as you know, every week I'm picking a different streaming service to recommend things from, and this is the week of the month, I guess, that I talk about Netflix. Now, this list was helped from CineRam, who we all said happy birthday to earlier in the show, who's a good friend of mine who's unfortunately working tonight. I will list off his recommendations later. Obviously, I will have a video of him talking about his recommendations when you see this tomorrow night as a segment. But I wanted to list off films that I thought were really cool on Netflix, and I found a lot of good ones this time. And if I have the reviews of these various movies, they will be linked in the description next. There will just be a list of these, so if you want to find them, you can. Now, I mentioned, I saw Avatar: The Last Airbender is now on Netflix, so I will bring that up. And Nathaniel Foga, thank you for being for the punch there. But, yes, Avatar: The Last Airbender, it's a great show. I need to sit down and watch more of it and watch it in the order, and I really haven't gotten to really sit down with it in a long time, so I need to do that. As well as, even though I recommended this on my last Netflix recommendations, I will bring it up again that Mystery, and it's the only one I am, Mystery Incorporated, which I think is the best Scooby-Doo show, is on Netflix. You should check that out, as well as What's New Scooby-Doo, which Sophie was watching today. I think that's more age-appropriate than Mystery Incorporated, even though I know she likes that show. Hail Caesar, which I quite liked. It's a later Coen Brothers movie. I know a lot of people didn't like it. It made my top 10 of that year. And I think it's fun. It's kind of talking about that period in Hollywood. A big favorite around my house is Princess and the Frog. Princess and the Frog, we watch it at least once a week. I know it's also on Disney Plus, but it is still on Netflix. So if you don't have Disney Plus and if you've never seen Princess and the Frog, get on that. It is a great movie. It's done by John Mosker and Ron Clements. It's a great New Orleans movie. It's just a really great I think it's top tier Disney for me. Scott Pilgrim, I think you've all seen it, but if you want to see it again, it's on Netflix. Another one, The Florida Project, which I thought was a really great movie about kind of the town that exists right outside of, I think in Florida, the Disneyland, whatever Disney park that is. That's a really good movie. If you've never seen that, you should get on that. Two that I think everyone's been told to see, but they're on Netflix, is The Social Network and Moonlight. Those are two, probably two of the greatest movies of the past decade, and if you haven't seen them, you should. As well as Her, which was Spike Jonze's last movie. Has he not made something since then? Jesus. Anyway, I really like that one. I think that was my number one movie of the year that year, is Her. Good Time, which was from the Safdie brothers and Robert Pattinson. That was a really cool movie. I know that was on Amazon Prime previously. It's been on a lot of streaming services, but that is a really great crime movie. And if you really want to see a real intense kind of crime thriller, that's a great one. Raiders of the Lost Ark is a classic. If you've never seen Raiders of the Lost Ark, it's one of the greatest directed films of all time. Paul Thomas Anderson's Magnolia is a weird, crazy one, but I really like it. The Witch is on there. I think I've recommended The Witch before, but I'm on one of these, but I think The Witch is a great, weird kind of A24 kind of horror film. I Lost My Body, which was their big kind of foreign animated thing. It did get nominated for Best Animated Feature this year, and I thought it was actually pretty good. I think I think a lot of you guys would really like it, as well as I think I said MFKZ is or Motherfuckers is on there, which is a great weird kind of cult animated film that I've noticed has really been taking off since it got on Netflix. So cheers to them. I'm trying. By the way, one of the things with these Netflix things, and I see a lot of people in the chat saying this, and people say this to me, I don't try to list too many because Netflix has so much stuff. So I kind of limit what I talk about in each of these so I don't repeat myself too often. So if I didn't say one of those, that's why. Finally, I'll say Kung Fu Hustle is on there. It's been a while since I've seen that cool Stephen Chow attitude. And I know he did The Mermaid, which was a huge hit, but I kind of prefer his, Kung Fu Hustle, Shaolin Soccer stuff. And I just remember being so into those when I saw those at the time. And then finally, although I have not finished Midnight Gospel, I've been sort of watching it as I go to bed, and it really relaxes me. I really find it really great so far. So I don't know when a review will be out because I'm sort of watching it very slowly, but I would really recommend Midnight Gospel. I really love it. So let's get to CineRam, who has some great recommendations right now. And CineRam is and now let's get to CineRam's recommendations. And I know he's going to have some good ones, so let's take it away. So he brings up 3 Netflix exclusives. One is I Am Mother, which sounded interesting. It's about a girl who's raised by a robot after like some big horrible thing that happened on Earth. I've never heard of it. I've noticed with these recommendations from people, they always talk about interesting movies I've never heard of. So that sounds kind of cool. And then a human comes to find this girl who's being raised by a robot and wants her to come with them. And there's like this conflict between this robot voiced by Rose Byrne and so forth. Apparently, sounds cool. They also have a film about Jeffrey Dahmer called Extremely Wicked, Shockingly Evil and Vile, which sounded interesting. I think it's Jeffrey Dahmer. Am I right? Anyway, he said it's good. And then this is why this part gets cut out in a later video. And Have a Good Trip, which is apparently about people's experiences with acid and other kind of drugs like that, which also has interviews with Anthony Bourdain and Carrie Fisher before they died, which is kind of interesting. And then 2 films he recommends that are not exclusives, but are actually 2 really good movies is Under the Skin directed by Jonathan Glazer, which I do recommend. It's probably the greatest Scarlett Johansson performance ever. I think in this recommendation we have 2 where she doesn't play humans and is really great at it. And then Hell or High Water, which is a great crime movie, which he recommended, and I second that for Hell and High Water. You should see Hell and High Water if you never have. It's awesome. Oh, it's Ted Bundy. Damn it. I'm sorry. Ted Bundy. Well, CineRam got it right. Extremely Wicked, Shockingly Evil, and Vile is Ted Bundy. Apologies, CineRam. Anyway, those were CineRam's recommendations, which unfortunately I screwed up. I would very second that on Hell or High Water. It's a great movie. Please check out CineRam's channel. You should subscribe to him. He has a lot of great stuff on like the summer, blockbuster summers of Movie Pass, which he sums up in a great way. You should check that out and subscribe to his channel, as well as see the sad story about how he missed the show on his birthday. You can check out that video as well. So, but thank you very much, CineRam, for helping me with the Netflix recommendations this month. And I hope I was able to find you something to watch during this crazy quarantine life that we are currently in. And yeah, all right. So let me do these not Netflix questions, Patreon questions, and then we'll do questions in the chat. So, first one is from Zane Powers, who's a Patreon supporter as well. Thank you very much, Zane Powers. Gotta say that. Question. I smack my lips a lot? I guess I do. Zane Powers asks, with the news of the Community movie, what would you want the story to be given, how long it's been since Season 6, and what happened in the series, along with, besides the main study group, the Dean and Chang. Do you think we'd ever get, do you think we'd ever get other reoccurring characters like Professor Ian Duncan, Buzz Hickley, Elroy, or Frankie? And if so, what role would you want them to play? Here's the thing. Like, Dan Harmon basically said, like, we're having more conversations about it. It's happening with the right people, but it doesn't, I don't know what the concept is, but it does, to me, sound like it's getting closer than it's ever been. I think I'd want it to be about the core group. I want Donald Glover to be there. I'd want Chevy Chase to have something, even though I don't like Chevy Chase or him being on the show. I guess I would like them to have some sort of more resolution, but I also kind of feel like there shouldn't be one, because I feel like there's a real chance it could suck. I would want everyone from Starburns to I'd like all the characters there. I'd like them all to have conclusions, but I almost feel like it shouldn't happen, to be honest with you, Zane Powers. I'm sorry, this is not the greatest question, answer. But I would just like them, to have a cool adventure again, and a good concept one. I think almost would be better with them kind of resolving a lot of things rather than a big event. I don't know. Rather than I think it should be more than just a reunion, and I think that's something Dan Harmon would have to come up with. But it's also he's very busy, so I sort of don't think this is going to happen, but I hope that answers. I feel like that sort of sucked. I'm sorry. Ramiro Sanchez says, do you know any Mexican movies and or actors, and do you enjoy any? I am Mexican. I won't be offended if you don't know any. I recommend El Inferno if you haven't seen it. I will say one that I actually really like is Mexican Spitfire. It's from the 40s. It's an American film, but the actress, I believe, is Mexican. I might be wrong about that. But she was really great. It's a great 40s, 30s comedy. And I think I'd say that one. I mean, I don't know, I could list off, like, the big Mexican directors, like, Del Toro and stuff like that. But I would say, let's say, I'm going to go with Mexican Spitfire because I've always liked that movie. And then Will has the question. Just saw the Assassin's Creed movie, not good, but it's made me curious. Why do you think 2016 was the year of video game adaptations? For real, there was such like an oversaturations that they just kind of died till further notice. I don't know why that was, and I remember being on like the POS podcast and Pizza Party and being asked about it a lot. I think it's because that industry was building and building, and they felt like they had to sort of conquer it at a certain point. It's interesting that the only one that got a sequel was Angry Birds, and World of Warcraft did really well overseas. But I don't really know why that was. That's like a good question. I don't know what the industry was, but I know before, like, they wanted the Halo movie to happen and it didn't. So, yeah, I don't know if there's a real rhyme or reason, but it was kind of a big turning point. Assassin's Creed I find to be an interesting movie. I don't think it's good, but it's definitely an interesting watch. Anyway, let's get through these questions. I'm going to try to get them done because I sort of want to end at 12:30 because it's been a long show, I think. Anyway, so Bruce Parker, BoJack, or all of Community? I'm going to say that's a tough one, but let's just go with Community. What are some of your favorite snack foods? I would say just like unsalted cashews, probably. Ryan says, Jimmy Dimmy Doo, where are you? Nice, Ryan. Ace the Wind Rider, if you could chill for a day with Spider-Man, what would you do and what would you ask him? I would go to that sandwich place he talked about in Homecoming, and I would ask him what his secret identity was, because I wouldn't know it if we were hanging out. In that reality, that's probably be the things I would ask him. We'd definitely chill and have cool deli sandwiches. Favorite Star Wars quotes? I guess I Know by Han Solo. I always like that one. Cornbread, since Scarface is relevant this week, I must ask, when will we get the grand return of the great Al Pacino Don Pacino? This chocolate bat. I love that clip. Maybe I should see Jane. Was it Jack and Jill? Maybe I should. I don't know. What's your favorite ice cream flavor? A lot of Ben and Jerry's. Probably chocolate though. Probably the fish food I like. I like the mint ones. I like Chubby Hubby. I like that one. All right. Zane Powers, thoughts on the original Batman v Superman script that was talked about that was supposedly the darkest thing you've ever seen? I never thought that movie was going to be any good. I've read like summaries of what that script was going to be. It seems like a lot of people didn't like comics writing a comic book movie to me. And like this whole dark comic book movie thing, I'm obviously very over. And just like, was it like Jude Law was going to be Superman? And like, I'm like, I don't even want to think about it. It just doesn't sound good to me. I don't know. Maybe if that Best Movies Never Made podcast goes over it, I'd probably listen to it. But to me, it just doesn't sound appealing. To me, to be honest with you, sorry, Zane Powers. I'm like not answering your questions very well. I apologize. Question: what would you prefer get revived? Marvin the Martian's movie or the Hong Kong Phooey movie with Eddie Murphy? Hong Kong Phooey movie. Not plausible. Have you seen, that was from Bruce, I think I said that. Have you seen the last season of Clone Wars? The last episode was happening concurrently with Revenge of the Sith and recontextualize things from the movie. No, I haven't. I need to watch all of Clone Wars. I haven't seen it. Are you a good witch or a bad witch? Probably a good witch, I hope. Question: hey Jim, what you mean that Close Enough might release that is official, that is coming to us? Okay, Eric, like I said, it had a date. Like it was just a joke because it's taken so long. Close Enough's coming out. It's cool. Major Mekazawa, favorite decade from cinema. The 70s and 90s are some of my faves. Probably the 70s or 30s, to be honest with you. Question: between two Nolans, do you like Rocket Power? Race Across New Zealand from M Blood T review is better than your least favorite Christopher Nolan movie? Yeah, probably. Not plausible. Who can it be knocking at my door? I'm not sure. Sorry. Nathaniel Fogo, favorite Mystery Science Theater host. It's either Mike or Joel. Jonah didn't do enough for him to be in consideration, although I love him. Zane Powers, thoughts on those two guys on Twitter who were shitting on bugs hands and shitting on digital artists. I didn't know about that, but that's not cool. I was thinking of that. Thoughts on the HUCU, the Hanna-Barbera Cinematic Universe? What would you like the next film to be? Flintstones, maybe? I don't know. I think it should be a TV show. Hanna-Barbera shouldn't be movies. You know, it's like, and especially if they're going to do them this way. You know, I don't really want that, to be honest with you. Pop culture guy 3000. Did you ever have Shudder? If you don't, what kind of content would you like to see from a horror-centered streaming service? I've had it once to watch like one movie. They seem to be great. I don't really want anyone else to do anything with it, so I'm cool with them. I just don't have it or have the time to do it. Who will stop the rain from Bruce Parker? Someone, I guess? I don't know. Sorry. Question, what episode are you on with Midnight Gospel? What has been your favorite episode so far from Courtney? I think it's like 3 or 4, and I only watch a couple, and then I fall asleep, and I have to So, like, I like the second one a lot, actually, and it grew on me as I was watching it. The second one I'd say right now, but I like the first one a lot, too. Major Mekazawa, what do you think of director Andrei Tarkovsky's work? I'm basic, and I really like Solaris. I've seen his other stuff, but I've never loved any of them as much as Solaris, which I've seen on the big screen. I own it. I've seen it like 5 or 6 or 7 times, but I love Solaris. The others I never got us into. Sorry. I don't know. They never meant as much to me as Solaris. So, although I need to see Stalker. I've seen the part in Atomic Blonde, but I need to see Stalker. That's one. I've seen a bunch of the others. I forget which ones. I know The Mirror. I think like 2 others. Anyway. Cornbread, what should I get to eat after the show? I could have eggs and beef hash, or I could make a sandwich. Let's go with sandwich. Take a picture of that sandwich, Cornbread, and post it on the Discord if you do that. Or whatever you eat. I'd like to know. Margot Robbie is Furiosa. She's involved in Tank Girl. That was from CineRam. She's involved in Tank Girl, so I don't know if that'll happen. Oh, no, I lost my train of thought, obviously. Jesus. We have a lot of questions. I don't know if we're getting to all these. Thoughts on the CG animation for the season finale of Blacklist? I didn't see it, and I've never watched Blacklist, but it sounds like a good way to get around because they couldn't finish their season finale. Have you heard the series finale of the... Oh, wait, I'm reading the same one. But thank you, Evil Ira, for that. What name should we call fans of movie crap the movie plumbers? I like that. Not plausible. That's funny. If everyone wants to do that, that's up to you guys. Is there a specific episode and or season where you'd like to pretend The Simpsons ended with? For me, I like to pretend it ended season 10 in the movie. I would say, yeah, around there probably, to be honest with you. Zane Powers, can you go into more detail on why you don't like Murphy Brown? I just don't really think it's funny, and it's like so topical, it's like hard to watch past the week it's on. I haven't really watched in a while, so maybe I'd like it more now, but it almost felt like it was appealing to like people who were just like constantly reading the news, and it was too schmarmy and too like all that stuff. I just don't. I guess it's been a while, so to really go into it, I have to rewatch it, which I don't want to do. Although I did watch a really long video about the whole history of it, even though I don't like it. Lauren Jones, question: any B movie movies that stand out? Monster movies that stand out. Mine would be the Giant Gila Monster, 1959. I watched a ton of drive-in movies one summer, like old B drive-in movies, and I forget. It's been a while. I'd have to look through it. If I saw the titles, it would hit me, but. Yeah. Oh, Them's a great one. Question: would you dance with the devil in the pale moonlight? Oh, that's funny. Favorite Hanna-Barbera cartoon from Nathaniel Foga? Maybe Powerpuff Girls. Let me do Sweet Potato Fries. Let me do Always Sleepy will be the last one. I'm sorry. Question, just wondering if you've seen this final season of She-Ra. I haven't, as well as overall thoughts on the show. I remember you saying this, so likes it. I did, but it's like got too adult for her, so I stopped watching it. I would like to finish it. I don't know if I'll get to, but I think that show's a great show. I think I watched Jose's video on Murphy Brown. I think that's the one I watched. Always Sleepy, and this will be the last one after this. How did you find out about the Scooby-Doo project? Was it just word of mouth, or did you find out about Rebel Taxi's video? I heard about it at the time it came out. So that's how I heard about it. So I've known about it since it came out. But Pan reminded me of it. I did rewatch that before I did this review, to be honest with you. I watched all of the videos I could find on it. But it wasn't from Pan specifically. I was a person who watched Cartoon Network then. Anyway, Yes, MomoCon there's going to be a pizza party. I should have mentioned at the beginning of the show. I'm sorry. The Pizza Party podcast is going to have a MomoCon streaming panel next Saturday at 6. So I will see you then if you can be there. I will be back next week as well. So thank you, Austin, for mentioning that. I hope to get to see you then. Anyway, I want to thank the Jimbos. I like that one. All right, I'm sorry if I didn't get to answer your question. It's getting late, and I need to go to bed. But I want to thank you all for being here. Thank you for being as supportive as you are, as you have been. You've been, you guys have been great. You're always great on the chat and everything like that. Thank you for showing up and spending your Saturday night with me, just talking about random movie things. So, in the past week, I've done things. Can you end the stream by T-posing? I don't know what that means, Zane Powers, but just, cheers to you anyway. Yes, I believe it's 6 p.m. Eastern, by the way. All right. So check out the videos I made this week, which are everything from, Muppet Treasure Island to all the segments from last week, like the Mickey Mouse in Vietnam, Tom Cruise in Space, and a Scoob review, and the Voodoo recommendations with Corey Baker. I hope to have cool videos this week. I'm not sure exactly what they're going to be, but I hope I sort of know, but I'm figuring things out. Anyway, thank you all very much for showing up. Thank you for being here. Thank you for all the super chats, and you guys all have a great night. And stay well, stay healthy, and peace out to all of you. Join the Discord and all that stuff, and subscribe if you would like to. Good night.